Hare Krishna. So, welcome everyone on our Tuesday evening Bhagavad Gita discussion. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langhayate Girim Yat Kripatamaham Vande Shri Guru Dinatarinim Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanyeshwaram Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivas Adi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So once again, welcome everyone. So we have been discussing Bhagavad Gita Chapter 4. In the last discussion, we talked about text 15 to 18, I believe, and we talked about what Krishna is describing as Vikarma, Karma and Akarma, the difference between Vikarma, Karma and Akarma. And overall, Krishna says the intricacies of karma, they are very difficult to understand. It's very difficult to know what karma is bringing what time of result. I'm right now enjoying, this is the result of which activity. Right now I'm suffering, it may be the outcome of which particular activity I have done. So the intricacies of karma are very difficult to understand. Now moving forward, text number 19 through 24, Krishna is going to speak now how to free ourselves from the bondage of this world by a karma. Or to say, Krishna describes how a karma yogi acts, removing the reaction by a karma. In Upanishads, there is a very famous Vedic statement which talks about taking us from asat to sat, from darkness to light, from death to immortality. Right? Astoma sadgamaya, tamsoma jyotirgamaya, mrityurma mritam gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So this particular shloka comes in Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. So what is this shloka explaining, or what this shloka mean is Asato ma sadgamaya. Lead me from false to truth. Asat to sat. Tamso ma jyotirgamaya. Lead me from darkness to light. Mrityurma amritam gamaya. Lead me from death to immortality. Basically, take me from this world of death to the world where there is no birth, death, old age, disease, to the spiritual world. From sorrow to happiness, and then Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. So this Vedic statement is everybody, actually the heart's desire is to be free from all the temporary situations of this material world and attain permanent peace and happiness. But how can we attain that? How do we go to the abode of Krishna? Now, that is possible by doing a karma. Right? And that is what Krishna is going to explain now, how a karma yogi acts within this material world so he does not get bound by the reactions of all the activities. So in this world, how to live, Krishna tells again and again in the scripture what to do, what not to do. You should not do this, you should not do that. Like a mother keep telling the child, don't touch the fire, don't play with the knife, don't run around on the street. So child may think, why mother is always saying no, 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 don't do this, don't do this, don't do this. I want to do all these things. But mother is telling all these things because of the safety of the child. So same way Krishna keep telling in the scriptures, Krishna himself is mentioning at many places, the great saintly people, they give their instruction, don't do this, don't do this, don't do meat eating, don't do illicit relation, no gambling, no intoxication. So we are hearing these regulative principles again and again, that do not engage in these sort of activities which will cause our fall down within this material world. By doing vikarma, one goes to hell, and after exhausting the result, then one comes back within this earthly realm to again perform other new karma, again pile up the reaction of the work. By doing good karma, one goes to heaven, right? One goes to Swarga, and once the result of those pious activities are exhausted, then again one comes back in this earthly realm to again pile up the new karma. So this keep going on and on. Either somebody is committing some bad activity, sinful activity, or committing some pious activity. So we are in a big roller coaster going up and down, up and down, up and down. So Krishna says one need to avoid both, because both are causing bondage within this material world. And many people sometimes think, oh, we want to do good karma, right? So we can be happy. Yes, you can experience some happiness in this world by doing some good karma, but ultimately that is also binding within this material world. Even though somebody try to avoid bad activity, but the nature of this world is so that the one will be forced to act something in a negative way, something, do something wrong. And still, even if somebody is not doing any wrong activity, still trying to do all good, but one is always troubled by all these miseries of this material world, the threefold miseries, Adi Bhautik Klesh, Adhyatmik Klesh, Adi Daivik Klesh. The miseries caused by the body and mind, miseries caused by other living entity, miseries caused by the higher nature. At the old age, even somebody is doing all good karma, the old age is still going to come. It's not that the person is always going to stay ever fresh. He is always going to stay youth. So the old age is going to come, which means bringing misery. And then the Adi Daivik Kalesh, the miseries caused by the higher nature. Sometimes there is too much cold, sometimes too much heat, sometimes there is rain, some tornado, some this earthquake, some tsunami. So all these natural calamities are still impacting upon everybody. जैसे बोलते हैं गेहूं के साथ घुन भी पिस जाता है. Even though somebody is being good in this material world, but then he has to still face all these different problems of life. So Krishna says one need to avoid both by doing a karma. So for that, there is a particular prescription somebody need to follow. Like if a patient, somebody is sick, somebody has typhoid. Now there are so many restrictions given. You cannot eat these items, you cannot eat that item. Or when somebody is suffering with typhoid, okay, no fried items. You cannot eat chaat papdi, you cannot eat samosa, jalebi, pranta, and all that. Even though the person may like to eat all those things. So same way our disease condition is, we want to enjoy within this material world by doing certain various activities, but we need to observe these restrictions, do not entangle with these activities, and rather do positive activities, which are like taking the medicine. So if a patient want to recover, he need to avoid certain things, right? Certain restrictions, and then also take the medicine and the prescribed diet. So same way, the scriptures keep telling, avoid these vikarmas, the bad activities, sinful activity, and engage yourself in the positive activities. Those are like taking the medicine, taking a proper diet. So what are these positive activities? These are engaging in the activity to please the Supreme, Lord, acting in a way that you are serving the Supreme Lord, acting in a way that you are engaging in the activity to please the Supreme Lord, acting in a way that you are serving the Supreme Lord, acting in a way that you are pleasing the Supreme Lord, acting in a way that you are pleasing the Supreme Lord, acting in a way that you are pleasing the Supreme Lord, acting in a way that you are pleasing the Supreme Lord, acting in a way that you are pleasing the Supreme Lord, acting in a way that you are pleasing the Supreme Lord, acting in a way that you are pleasing the Supreme Lord, acting in a way that you are pleasing the Supreme Lord, acting in a way that you are pleasing the Supreme Lord, acting in a way that you are pleasing the Supreme Lord, acting in a way that you are pleasing the Supreme Lord, acting in a way that you are pleasing the Supreme Lord, acting in a way that you are pleasing the Supreme Lord, acting in a way that you are pleasing the Supreme Lord, acting in a way that you are pleasing the Supreme Lord, acting in a way that you are ple serving Krishna, following the instructions of Krishna, and not considering ourselves as the doer, ourselves as the enjoyer, ourselves as the proprietor. So earlier, maybe we are on the negative scale, negative axis. And then giving up those bad activities, coming to the stage of some knowledge, we come to the origin, 0 axis. But coming to 0 from negative is not enough. Now we need to move to the positive side of the scale. So the Gyanis, they come from negative to 0. They have a good understanding, good knowledge that Om Shanti, 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 we want peace, peace, peace. But then how to attain that peace? We need to engage in certain positive activities, move to the positive side of the scale. So that is what now Krishna is going to explain from 4.19 onwards, next 5-6 verses. Krishna says this is how a karma yogi act to become free from the bondage. So 4.19, यस्य सर्वे समारंभा काम संकल्प वर्जितः ज्ञानग्नि दग्ध कर्माणं तमाहु पंडितम बुधः. Anybody would like to recite this verse? Chapter 4, text 19.
I can do it, Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu, go ahead.
Yasya sarvas samarambha kama sankalpa varjita jnanani jagada karmana tam ahu patitam buddha.
Okay, good. Let's do one more time. You can repeat after me. Okay, everybody. We will break the verse into 4 sections and then try to repeat. Yasya sarve samarambha
Yasya sarve samarambha
काम संकल्प वर्जितः
kama sankalpa varjita
ज्ञानग्नि दग्ध कर्माणं तमाहु पंडितम बुधः. Okay, so the translation of this verse is, one is understood to be in full knowledge, whose every action is free from the desire for material pleasure. Kam sankalpa varjita. So free from the desire for material pleasure. Jnanagni dagdha karmanam, who has burned the reaction of work in the fire of divine knowledge. Tamahu panditam buddha. That person is understood to be in full knowledge. So which person is understood to be in full knowledge? Who is free from the desire of all material pleasure. So there is no desire for personal enjoyment by performing any particular action. And he has burnt up the reaction of work in the fire of divine knowledge. So the one very important part of this verse is Kam Sankalpa Varjita, free from desire of sense gratification. And not being attached, basically not being attached to the result of the activity, result of the work we are performing. So working without attachment. That is a sutra from this verse. So Krishna says, if you want to be free from the bondage, work without the attachment to result of your work. Work without attachment for your personal enjoyment. Generally, all our activities are based on attachment. Right? Based on what I like, what I don't like. So we eat, and while eating, we are thinking, oh, I like this particular dish. I like this particular item. And if you like what is there being served, then we do sometime overeating also, because we are attached to that particular object. We are not thinking that, okay, this is for maintenance of the body. Now it has become for satisfying the tongue and belly. So we eat too much when you like something. And if it's not to your liking, then you are ready to fast also. Okay, I don't feel like eating. So our activities are based on attachment. It's the same way somebody is working in their office, in their job, or in their other business, occupation, and sometimes working too hard so that I can gain more money, I can gain some better position, I can do this. So we are always working based on attachment to the result. And Krishna says a karma yogi does not work based on personal enjoyment. Kama means lust, actually. In general, kama means all desires. Okay, so Atmendriya Priti Vancha Tare Bali Kam. When we are working for our personal enjoyment, Atmendriya Priti, that is called lust. Krishna Indriya Priti Vache Dhare Prema Nam. And if we are doing the activity with the desire to please Krishna, Krishna Indriya Priti, so our desire is to please Krishna, then that is love. But if the desire is for our personal enjoyment, that is called lust. So that is the difference between lust and love. Any activity we perform keeping Krishna in the center, only the desire is to please Krishna, then it is love. So we should offer everything to Krishna. Like a child, if the child takes some money from your pocket, goes to the store, bring a cake and tell, Papa, I bought this cake for you. Today is your birthday. And father will be very happy. Is the father going to say, oh, you took money from my own pocket only. What is so great about that? That we brought cake for me. Father will not say that. Father will be very happy. Oh, you thought about me. You brought the cake for me. Same way, whatever we are getting, whatever we are working based on whatever intelligence, whatever strength, whatever result we are getting is because of Krishna. He is awarding the result. And if we give it return to Krishna, then Krishna becomes very happy. Krishna is not looking anything from us. When we offer the food to Krishna, when we offer bhoga to Krishna, it's not that Krishna is hungry for what we are going to offer to him. But Krishna accepts that, because if we are offering it with love, Krishna thinks, see, this devotee, he is thinking about me. And he is caring for me. And that what pleases Krishna. So offering everything to Krishna, not being attached to the result. That is the first sutra from here. Kama Sankalpa Varjita. Working without the desire for personal enjoyment. And our actions speak louder than words. We may be saying a lot of things, but not following those. And when there is a conflict between our words and action, then people will always look towards action. Right? No matter what you are saying. I may be giving big talks, but if I'm not following those things, ultimately what I am doing, I will be judged based on what I do, not what I speak. And it's very common for people to say, yes, I know Krishna, I know Bhagavad Gita, I have read Bhagavad Gita, I have heard Bhagavad Gita from my childhood. But what is the effect of that? Are we able to apply the message of Bhagavad Gita, the teachings of Bhagavad Gita in our life or not? So whatever we have heard, whatever we have understood, that will be tested at the time of any provoking situation. Are we able to implement those things or not? One may recite whole Bhagavad Gita in Sanskrit, but have we really understood the meaning? Once one person came to Prabhupada and said, I can recite the whole Bhagavad Gita in 1 hour 30 minutes. And Prabhupada said, that's very good. But can you live Bhagavad Gita for that much time? Right? For even 1.5 hours, can you live Bhagavad Gita? So we have to understand the message and apply that in our life. Then it is meaningful. There may be many so-called spiritual teachers, spiritual leaders, swamis, who may be giving big talks. There are so many organizations who give, where the leaders of those organizations give lectures on Bhagavad Gita. But they have no character. In their character, it is seen so many negative things they are doing, so many bad activities they are doing. So it's not seen in their behavior. One Swami was confronted for having the illicit relation with women. And what was his statement? Oh, you should not look at what I am doing. You should hear my words. See, I am speaking so much knowledge. So what is the use of speaking so much knowledge if one is not able to practice it for himself? It's not that we are speaking only for others to practice. First, we should also practice those things. So it's not about just externals, but it has to have implemented into our internal also. Some people will see only externals, right? They will see, oh, this person, this big guru, he has so many followers. He speaks so nicely. When he speaks, it's so mesmerizing. In his Pandal program, 10,000 people come. So some people just look at externals, but externals do not matter. There may be some very charismatic personality, but are they themselves able to live by that message or not? So what Krishna is saying here, the fire of perfect knowledge has burnt up all their reaction. Jnana Agni Dagdha Karmanam. So there is another very famous saying is Pothi pad pad jag mua pandit bhaya na koi. Dhai akhar prem ke pade so pandit hoy. So it's not about just reading books, reading scriptures. I have read this Upanishad and that Purana, and I am a very learned scholar. But have we developed our love for Krishna? Dhai akhar prem ka pade so pandit hoy. So when we develop that attraction for Krishna, when we have practically realize the message of the scriptures, then one is a really learned person. What Krishna is giving the definition of a learned person here, somebody who is free from the attachment of one's personal enjoyment, one who is free from the desire for personal enjoyment, and who has burned the reaction of one's work in the fire of divine knowledge. So akarma, the first sutra Krishna is giving here, being free from attachment. Then text number 20. Tyaktva phala sangam nitya tripto nirashraya karamanya abhipravritto api neva kinchit karoti saha. So here further Krishna expands on that, abandoning all attachment to the result of his activities. Tyaktva karma phala sangam. So one has given up the attachment to the result of one's activity. Nitya tripto nirashraya, one who feels ever satisfaction and he does not take any other shelter. Nirashraya. Karmanya abhipravrittopi, he performs no fruitive action. Neva kinchit karoti sa, even though he is engaging in all sort of actions, still he is not performing any fruitive action. So he is not getting bound by the action, by the result. So tyaktva karam phala sanga nitya tripto nirashraya, free from the attachment to the result of one's action. And also nitya tripto, he is always satisfied, nirashraya, not considering any other shelter apart from Krishna. So the sutra from this verse is, one does not consider oneself as the doer. One thinks whatever activity I am able to perform, this is happening because of Krishna. All the strength I'm getting is because of Krishna. All the intelligence to do the work I'm getting is because of Krishna. So I am not the doer. Ultimately, everything is coming from Krishna. Just like, example, I come at Rahul Prabhu's home, knock the door. Rahul Prabhu comes and opens the door. So what will we say? Who opened the door? What will be the answer? Who opened the door?
Rahul Prabhu.
Rahul Prabhu opened the door. Will I say Rahul Prabhu's right hand opened the door? Even though he may be opening the door with the right hand only, right? But we'll say Rahul opened the door. Rahul Prabhu opened the door. Not Rahul Prabhu's right hand opened the door. Or not that, okay, this thumb and this finger of the right hand opened the door. So, same way, we are all part and parcel of Krishna. Even though we are doing certain actions, but ultimately, who is the controller? Who is the doer? Ultimately, it's coming from Krishna. The strength, the intelligence to do all the action is coming from Krishna. So we should not consider ourselves as the doer, but rather we should pass on the credit to Krishna. We should pass on the credit to Guru and Hari. Now, need to be very careful about this, what I just said. Pass on the credit of our work to Guru and Krishna. But at the same time, we should not say, when I did something wrong, oh, this is also Krishna made me do it. Okay, because that's where people do this hodgepodge. Where to understand that, okay, I'm giving the credit to Krishna is when we did something right, when we did something good, we don't want to take the credit of that work, saying that this work is done because of the guidance from Krishna. But at the same time, when we are doing something wrong, we should not just blame it on Krishna. Oh, Krishna made me do this. Because we are responsible for making choices. At every step, we are making the choices. Like you are sowing the seed, the result, the fruit grows because of Krishna. But you are responsible for sowing the seed. If you sow the seed of a lemon tree, you cannot expect the bananas to come out of that. Sowing the seed is our part. Giving the result, if the tree is going to grow or not, if the fruit are going to come on that or not, that is Krishna's task. But when we are making any choices, we have to understand we have the free will to make those choices. We are not forced. It's not that everything is predestined. Sometimes people say, oh, everything happened because of destiny. See, when this gambling match happened in Mahabharata, when Draupadi was pulled into the assembly forcibly, and she cried out for help. And what Dhritarashtra was saying, when Sanjay told Dhritarashtra, you should stop all this, you should stop this gambling match and all this insult which is happening to the Pandavas and Draupadi, Dhritarashtra just blamed it on destiny. Oh, everything is happening based on destiny. What can we do? Everybody is facing the consequences based on their destiny. But Sanjay said, do not blame it on the destiny. See, somebody is getting some opulences, somebody has got some opulences. Yes, that is based on their previous karma, their destiny. But after getting the opulence, how they are utilizing those opulences is their choice. So what we have got right now is based on previous karma, but what choices we are making now, that is our free will, how we are acting. So otherwise, all the terrorists, all the bad people, they will just blame everything on God. Oh, God is making us do all these things. God is making us kill these people. We are doing it on the name of God. That is all nonsense. So here, what Krishna is saying is somebody is free from the desire for their personal attachment, personal enjoyment. They are not considering themselves as the doer. They do not take any other shelter. They do not consider anything else as their shelter. So the people still act. It does not mean you have to stop acting. Karmanya abhipravritto api naiva kinchit karoti sa. So one still is performing action, but without being bound by that action. So why then somebody is performing that action? What is the reason to perform the action? For our own purification, for satisfaction of Krishna. Like Prabhupada, right? Prabhupada traveled to America. And while Prabhupada is traveling on Jaladuta to come to America, on the way Prabhupada had 2 heart attacks. And in that situation, Prabhupada was calling out to Krishna, Krishna, you are taking me to America, you are making me go to America, but I don't know if I will be able to reach there or not, if I will be able to perform the service for you or not. And Prabhupada had a vision of Krishna that time, darshan of Krishna, and Krishna assured, do not worry, everything will be all right. I am with you always, and you will meet great success in your preaching endeavors. And Prabhupada, when he arrived at the port, Prabhupada standing on the deck of that Jaladuta is praying to Krishna that you have brought me here. And here there are so many opulences, so much chamak damak, and people are so much affected by all these material opulences and material enjoyment. I don't know if they will be able to understand my message. And Prabhupada prays, make me dance, make me dance, make me dance as you like. I am just puppet in your hands. Just make me dance as you like. So the great devotees of the Lord, the saintly people, they act, but they are acting for pleasure of Krishna. Even performing all sort of activity, it's not doing activity at the same time. So do your best and leave the rest to God. We hear this statement so many times. Do your best and leave the rest to God. And people put so much emphasis on the first part of the statement, do your best. So rather than depending on Krishna, their whole focus becomes that you are the doer. Do your best and then leave the rest to God. But here, the main focus should be that yes, you do your endeavor, but always keeping Krishna in the forefront. Do not think that you are the doer. Always rely on Krishna, always depend on Krishna. So do your best and leave the rest to Krishna. And in that way, if we perform our action, then we will become free from the bondage. At the same time, we cannot say that, oh, let me not do the action. That's why Krishna says, do your best. Because we cannot use it as an excuse to neglect our duty. The purpose here is detachment from result, not from the effort. And not taking shelter in the result of one's action. Here, Krishna has not introduced himself yet. Right? Krishna says, Nirashraya, that they do not take any other shelter. They do not take the shelter in one's result also. But Krishna has not introduced himself that you take my shelter yet. Krishna has not come to that point. So generally, we see in this world, people are motivated or determined to act by thinking about the final result. Isn't it? All the activity which one performs thinking about the final result. Somebody is a businessman. They are working so hard. They are dreaming, one day I want to become as this business tycoon. I want to have my photo come into this business magazine, the front cover. Somebody, a cricketer, they are playing the World Cup and winning this World Cup and holding that trophy. And when the newspaper, all these reporters come for interview, they say, oh, I have been dreaming of this day. I have been dreaming all my life that one day I will hold this trophy. So they think, because they are thinking about the result, they think that made me going on with determination, visualizing myself that yes, one day I will be achieving this thing. But that is completely contrary to what Krishna is saying here. Krishna is saying, do not get attached to the result. Do not take shelter of your result or any other object other than Krishna. So only the devotees can be satisfied, because the satisfaction of soul is the real satisfaction. And our actions cannot be classified by external appearances. It is actually the state of mind that determines what is action and what is inaction. Right? Somebody may be sitting and eating all the nice food stuff, but still may not be bound by that, because he's thinking, oh, this is Krishna Prasad. I am tasting Krishna's mercy. Somebody may be eating very simple khichdi, but in his mind, he's thinking about all the chappan bhog. I wish I could have eaten that. I could have eaten that. So he is still bound. So it's not the external appearance. It is just the internal state of mind. What determines this? It's action or inaction. And the mind of enlightened people, they are absorbed in Krishna and being fully satisfied in their devotional activity. They look upon Krishna as their only refuge and do not depend on any other external support, any other external source. So I quoted this story in the last session also, and we will quote the next part of that story here also. So once the gopis, they observed a vow, they observed some fast, and now they want to break the fast and they want to feed to some saintly personality. And Krishna told the gopis, you should prepare nice feast and serve it to Durvasa Muni. And the gopis said, yes, that is very nice idea. So gopis made a nice feast. There's so many different varieties of food stuff. And they wanted to take it to Durvasa Muni to serve Durvasa. And Durvasa was residing on the other side of Yamuna that time. So that's when the gopis said, yes, we have prepared all this, but how to cross across this Yamuna? And right now there is a rain going on, kind of a thunderstorm going on, and no boatman is ready to row the boat across Yamuna. So how do we cross across Yamuna and go to Durvasa Muni to serve him? Krishna told the gopis, just tell the Yamuna, if Krishna is a perfect brahmachari, give us the way, part into two. And gopis laughed at Krishna. Krishna, you being the perfect brahmachari, you're always looking at us, glancing at us, and you think yourself as a perfect brahmachari. Krishna said, don't worry, just go and tell Yamuna. So all the gopis went, told Yamuna that if Krishna is perfect brahmachari, please part away and give us the way. To their surprise, Yamuna parted into two and gave them the passage. So gopis went on the other side. They came to Durvasa Muni and brought all these nice offerings. They served to Durvasa Muni. Durvasa Muni ate very little bit, and the gopis were thinking, oh, we cooked so much of food stuff to please Durvasa, and he ate only this much. So Durvasa, understanding their mood, Durvasa then ate all the food stuff. So many varieties of food, so much quantity they had cooked. Durvasa ate all. Now the gopis became happy. Yes, this he has received our offerings nicely. So now to come back to Vrindavan, they again asked Durvasa Muni how to cross this Yamuna. And Durvasa Muni told the gopis, go to Yamuna and tell, if Durvasa Muni ate only duba grass, give us the way. And the gopis were thinking, just now in front of us, Durvasa ate all these nice food stuff, night offering, and Durvasa is saying, if I ate only duba grass, then Yamuna should part into two. And Durvasa said, don't worry, just go and tell Yamuna. So again, they came to Yamuna and told, if Durvasa ate only duba grass, please part into two. And to their surprise, again, Yamuna parted into two. So they were surprised. They came back and asked Krishna, Krishna, what is the secret behind this? Earlier, you said if I'm a perfect brahmachari, Yamuna should part into two. Later, Durvasa said if I ate only duba grass. And we saw both are contradictory, both are, to our experience, both are wrong. So Krishna said, see, it's not about what you see, it's about what is the internal mindset. Krishna said, I do not have anything to enjoy in this world. I am not looking anything to enjoy within this material world. I am not in lack of anything. I am not in desire of anything. And same way, Durvasa Muni, even though he ate all these food stuff, in his mind, he is tasting only duba grass. He is treating all these offerings just like a grass only. He is so renounced with in his activities. So the overall moral of the story is, even so, it's not about externals, what we see, it's the internal state of mind. Somebody externally may be looking very renounced person, but internally in their consciousness, still all those thoughts of material enjoyment are there. So even though externally not doing any action, still performing action. And externally, somebody may be doing a lot of activities in this world, but internally they are completely detached, completely renounced. So even though performing so many actions in this world, still they are performing inaction. So the sutra from this verse, which we discussed just now, Krishna says, Do not become attached to the result of your activity, and don't consider yourself as the doer of your activity. You just do your activity to your best ability and leave the rest to Krishna. I leave the rest to me. That is the sutra. Now, moving on to the next verse, Krishna further explained the next sutra, text number 21. Nirashiryata chittatma tyakta sarva parigraha shariram kevalam karma kurvan apanoti kilbhisham. So free from expectations and the sense of ownership, with the mind and intellect fully controlled, they incur no sin even though performing actions by their body. So again, one very important sutra from this verse, what Krishna is telling, Nirashir yata chittatma tyakta sarva parigraha. So giving up all the sense of ownership, free from all expectations. So giving up the sense of proprietorship and acting only for bare necessities. Do not considering ourselves as the proprietor, ourselves as the owner, but acting only as the caretaker. So that is the important point here what Krishna is mentioning. So how to stay in this world and how to work in this world. Don't consider yourself as the owner. Consider yourself as the caretaker. Just like a gardener. The gardener is there who is taking care of the gardener, watering the plants and everything. So he is the caretaker of that garden, not the owner of that garden. So हमें इस संसार में कैसे रहना है? एक माली की तरह, ना कि एक मालिक की तरह. Not like an owner, but just like a gardener. Just like you go to your office and you work nicely in your office. So your employer, your boss is happy when you are doing all that work. But if you go to office and now start utilizing office property, office resources to do your personal business, to make some extra money out of your personal business by utilizing your office resources. And if the owner finds out, if the boss finds out, will the boss be very happy? And they will kick you out. So same way, when we are living in this world, who is providing all the resources? Like Krishna is giving all the resources. Krishna is giving us air. Krishna is giving us light. Krishna is giving us water. Krishna is giving all the food stuff to eat. So ultimately, all the resources are given by Krishna. And when we utilize these resources for our personal enjoyment and not bothering about Krishna, then Krishna is not happy with that. So we should live in this world and utilize the resources of this world in service of Krishna, rather than utilizing it in our own sense enjoyment. So the first verse of Ishopanishad, which talks about the quota, that everybody is given their own particular quota and one should be satisfied within their quota, rather than trying to encroach upon others' property. So yes, we have been given certain quota within this material world, but understanding who is providing that, ultimately everything belongs to the Supreme Lord. And if we live in harmony with the Supreme Lord, then we can only become happy. So working without the sense of proprietorship, working to fulfill our bare necessities. So free from expectation, free from the sense of ownership, with the mind and intellect fully controlled. So in that way, one does not incur any sin, even though performing all the action by one's body and mind. So again, it is the intention which counts, not the external action. For example, if you're driving, okay, you're driving on the road, you are following all the rules, all the signal lights, red light, yellow lights, you are following all the signals, driving on the proper speed limit in the proper lane and everything. And still, if out of nowhere somebody jumps in front of your car and commits suicide, so you are not going to be held liable for that. It is your intention was not to kill that person, right? You are driving, following all the rules. Still, if something happened, it's not that the driver is held liable. So even though some external action is done, but that action is not considered as a fault of the driver. So it is the intention which counts, not just the external action. So same way, living in this material world, if somebody is performing all activity with that state of mind, I am not the enjoyer, I am not the doer, I am not the proprietor. So if one continues to act in that way, even performing all action, one is not bound. So anybody can summarize the 3 sutras we discussed so far?
Not having ownership of what you do, being proprietorship, for not doing anything for own sense enjoyment, and staying detached from the karma.
Okay, so I got 2 actually in your statements. 2 sutras. You said one is about ownership, not considering ourselves as the proprietor, and not being attached to the result. One sutra is still missing. Anybody else?
It's actions that we take now. The actions that we take now will decide where we're going to go. It's not our karma.
Okay. I'm looking for one exact statement.
Detachment from the results.
Detachment from the results is not considering ourselves as the enjoyer of the results. So yes, detachment from the results. But there is one more.
Okay, Krishna will be center.
Keeping Krishna in the center. Okay. Still one particular statement I'm looking for. So I will repeat. Okay. Pay attention. So not considering ourselves as the enjoyer of our results, right? Not being attached to the results. So basically not working for our personal enjoyment. Then the second one is not considering ourselves as the doer. Okay, that was I was looking for. So that particular, not considering ourselves as the doer, that I did this. Okay, we are just the instrument. Ultimately, all the strength, all the intelligence is coming from Krishna. So if something good happened through us, giving the credit to Krishna, that Krishna helped me perform this particular task. So not considering ourselves as the doer. Then the third one is not considering ourselves as the proprietor. So not taking ownership. So far we discussed these 3 sutra from the last 3 verses. And next verse, Krishna is explaining kind of as a summary of what is being discussed. Yat ichha labha santushto dvandvatito vimatsarah samha siddha siddhau cha kritvapi na nibadhyate. So yat ichha labha santushto, satisfied with gain which comes of its own accord. So santushto, being satisfied, whatever came, some loss happened, some gain happened, being satisfied with that. Dvandhatito vimatsara, free from the dualities and do not having envy, vimatsara. And samha siddho asiddho cha, being steady in both success and failure. Chakritvapi na nibadhyate, that person is not bound by action in this world. So the overall statement, this particular sutra actually comes many times in Bhagavad Gita, which is Krishna is talking about a self-realized person is not affected by the dualities of life. Hey, what are the dualities of life? Sometimes there is gain, sometimes there is loss, sometimes there is happiness, sometimes there is sorrow, sometimes there is fame, sometimes there is infamy, sometimes there is respect, sometimes there is dishonor, sometimes there is success, sometimes there is failure. So all sort of dualities exist in this material world, and a self-realized person is not affected by these dualities of life. For example, this fame and infamy, honor and dishonor. Right? So one should not be affected by that. Well, in case of Jada Bharat, it's a Jada Bharat, right? Hopefully everybody knows Jada Bharat. Jada Bharat is, we talk about Bharat Maharaj's story, who gave up his life while thinking of a deer, and in the next birth, he became as a deer. Then the second life of a deer, he just wandered around the ashram of the sages, ate only dry leaves and all that. And after giving up that life, he again born as a Brahmana family. And in that third life, now he wanted to be free from all these dualities of life and all the attachments and all the bondages. So he acted just like a madman, just like a dumb person. His brother put him in the fields to take care of the field, protect the field, protect the crop, and he is just standing there. And he was taken by the dacoits. They wanted to give his sacrifice, Bali, to Kali, goddess Kali, and he is still completely undisturbed. Right? He is just remembering Krishna, undisturbed, what is happening. And goddess Kali came out of her vigraha and chopped off the head of all those dacoits and protected Jada Bharat. And later on, Jada Bharat is just walking around traveling, and he was noticed by the servants of the king, King Rahugana. These servants were carrying the palanquin of King Rahugana, and one person became sick. He was not able to lift the palanquin, so they wanted to hire somebody else or appoint somebody else in the service. They saw this Jada Bharat walking by, and they called him and put him in this service, that hold on, carry this palanquin with us. So as Jada Bharat is walking, he sees some ants on the way, and he will kind of jump across those ants, not to step over those ants. So this palanquin will shake completely. And Rahugana became very angry at Jada Bharat, and he started chastising him. So earlier, Jada Bharat was chastised by King Rahugana, still he was undisturbed. And later on, when multiple times this happened, and Jada Bharat started to give some nice instructions to Rahugana, right, on the principles of this body and soul. And Rahugana, understanding this position of Jada Bharat, that he is not some ordinary person, he is a very self-realized person, very knowledgeable person, saintly person. So Rahugana fell at the feet of Jada Bharat and started kind of glorifying him. So earlier, Jada Bharat was dishonored. Later on, Jada Bharat was honored. Still, he is completely equipoised in both situations. So that should be the state of mind, even though it's very easy to say and very hard to implement. So when some sort of this situation comes, somebody criticizes us, somebody says something wrong to us, and we become immediately, our kind of anger comes out, either not through words but through the eyes or through other emotions. So that is the test. Are we able to implement the lessons of Bhagavad Gita in our practical life or not? Even though we may lose temper temporarily, but if by remembering the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita, if we can come back to our normal situation, don't holding on to those things, not holding on to those grudges. So slowly by practicing that, we can come to this state of being unaffected by the dualities of life. Yeah, again, it takes practice, right? More and more practice. As we say, practice makes man not perfect, but it makes man. What is the next this new generation statement? Earlier we used to say practice makes one perfect. Now I say practice makes you better. Right? Not perfect, we may not ever get perfect, but at least it makes us better and better and better. So Krishna says, one who is able to tolerate all these dualities of life, who is not bothered by the loss and gain and success and failure, he is not bound by these results. Like Lord Ramachandra also, right? Lord Ramachandra shows in his activities, shows in pastime. So all this message of Bhagavad Gita, all these verses which are explained in Bhagavad Gita, to that all the actual scenario is there in Ramayana. All those practical situations are demonstrated by Lord Ramachandra in his life, not being affected by these dualities. He is going to be crowned next morning, and again at night time he is told, you have to leave Ayodhya and go to forest for 14 years, exiled to forest for 14 years. Lord Ramachandra neither rejoiced when he was given this news that you will be crowned the king, and neither he lamented that, oh, I was going to get the kingdom and now I'm bereft of all this kingdom. I'm asked to go leave Ayodhya and go to the forest. So he is happy in both situations, neither rejoicing nor lamenting. So while living in this world, being free from these dualities, actually nobody can hope to neutralize the dualities to have only the positive experiences. So when we perform work for pleasure of Krishna, then also we'll see both positive and negative fruits of those works. But we will see those as will of Krishna and then joyfully accept both. So when we are working for Krishna or serving Krishna also, we are engaging in preaching activity for Krishna, that time also we'll have to face both positive and negative. Some people will appreciate, some people will criticize it. Some people will accept the message, some people will reject it. But even though facing both situations, just accepting both scenario as will of Krishna, that Krishna is making arrangement through the medium of that person to purify me. So, and then joyfully just accepting both scenario. Okay, so the last verse which we'll discuss today to summarize this particular topic, which Krishna is explaining as how a Karma Yogi act to become free from bondage. Gat sangasya muktasya jnanavasthita chetasah yajnayacharatah karma samagram praviliyate. A work of a man who is unattached to the modes of material nature and who is fully situated in transcendental knowledge merges entirely into transcendence. So this is kind of a summary of previous 4 verses which Krishna has explained, that a person who is unattached to the modes of material nature and perform work in that way by being fully situated in transcendental knowledge ultimately attains to transcendence. So the summary of this 4 verses, what Krishna has described, let's recap. Free from the desire for sense gratification, Kama Sankalpa Varjitah. Second one, free from the attachment to the result of his action, Tyakt Karam Falasanga, Nitya Tripto Nirashraya. Then third one, free from any expectations, not thinking oneself as the doer. Fourth one, free from the sense of ownership, not considering ourselves as the proprietor. Fifth one, satisfied with gain which comes on its own accord, Nitya Tripto. And free from the dualities of life, does not envy. One is steady in both success and failure. So these are the sutras which Krishna is giving, how to act in this material world, how a Karma Yogi act to be not bound in this material world. Okay, so let's try to implement these sutras in our life and act in this world as Krishna says, just like a lotus flower, lotus leaf, which is staying in the water, which is untouched by the water. Same way, living in this material world, working in this material world, but not being affected by the world. So how to live in this world? Let's say you have a boat. Boat can stay inside the water, but the water should not come inside the boat. If water comes inside the boat, then the boat will sink. So same way we are in this world, by living in this world, don't become of this world. Okay, so we'll stop it here. Srimad Bhagavad Gita Ki Jai, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda Ki Jai. If anybody has any question, somebody want to add anything, any comments?
So, Prabhuji, are those 4 principles or 5 principles? Because one is don't tie yourself to results, right? Then you're not the controller, you're not the proprietor. Be equipoised. Take happiness and sadness the same. So those are 4, but is there another one?
No, we can split it into many. So the last 2-3 which we mentioned, actually they can be sub bullets to the one main point, is be free from all the dualities. All the dualities means study in both success and failure, right? And then being study in gain and loss. So that is one point. And the other 4 points were free from the desire of personal enjoyment, free from the attachment to the result of one's action, right? Not considering yourself or not being attached to the results. The third one is free from doership mentality and free from the proprietorship mentality.
Thank you.
Okay. Anything else? Okay, if nothing else, I think we'll end it here then. And thank you very much for joining. And hopefully everybody is observing Kartik month with enthusiasm, offering ghee lamp, singing Damodar Ashtakam, and trying to improve upon our trying to improve upon our spiritual practice, either increasing our japa, increasing our hearing, reading, association, in not missing our spiritual activities in this month, and following the very strictly. Okay, thank you everyone.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you for the class.
Krishna Prabhu. Prabhuji, actually, I wanted to ask regarding, is there some question here or something based on the classes?
I used to post the questions, assignments. Last couple of months I have not done. Earlier I used to post some assignment based on these classes.
Oh, okay, Prabhuji.
I think I need to start that again. It's been some gap between assigning these questions based on these classes, but we'll start again.
Okay, Prabhuji. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. That's it for now.
Hare
Hare Krishna.
Okay, thank you everyone. Hare Krishna.